Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Voice of the Valleys with your host, Mr. George Cresswell, and there he is. So, hope we are all doing well. Hope we're all having an amazing morning, afternoon, evening, night, wherever we are. This is probably going to be the intro episode where I explain a little bit about what this new show is meant to be, how it came to be, how I got the idea for it, why I chose the logo and all stuff like that, or how that came to be, why there's certain prominent things within it. And let's get straight into it. So, what do I intend to create or make of this Voice of the Valleys? What is it? Well, on my previous podcast, which obviously if you've listened to it, the Evidence-Based Excellence podcast, which I'm still going to be going strong, obviously. I started to, just because I started to become more politically active as a result of my personality and seeing what's going on in the UK at the moment, the increasing government tyranny that we're observing. I started to talk about a lot more political concepts, and I wanted to mix in other styles as well. So the videos that were propping up on my X page and all of these other things, I wanted to try and react to them in real time. Obviously, the way I would do that before is I would save the video, put it into Premiere Pro later. I would watch it at the right time, and then I would line it up later, put it into Premiere Pro. So you're still getting my reactions at the given point in time in the video, because I wanted to improve the quality of the production and those kinds of things, right? So the topics that I was talking about, though, I would talk about a lot more political concepts, the problems, in my opinion, that we got at the moment with mass migration, how, in my opinion, it's absolutely crippled and killed the country, the culture war, how we are on the very brink of extinction with regards to losing our national identity and culture and those kinds of things, particularly due to things like mass migration and complete uncontrolled demographic cloud pivot shifting, right? And it's been very, very damaging. And the UK is really on its last legs. It's really on its last legs. And really, 2029 might be the last chance that we get. America was very lucky in the end of 2024, in Q4 2024, to get the outcome that they did, in my humble opinion. If they had Kamala Harris actually be elected, I dread to think where they'd be right now. I dread to think where the whole world would be right now. We'd never have got Zelensky, Putin peace talks, regardless of your opinion on it, okay? Regardless of your opinion on the conflict, whose quote side you're on, and the wider geopolitical landscape as a result of it. And obviously there's the other conflict in the Middle East, the Israel Hamas conflict. And regardless of your opinions on them, if we hadn't got Donald Trump into the presidency, we never would have seen, the possibility of peace talks, because Putin has no reason to respect Kamala. And that's why actually he would have wanted Kamala, to be honest. I think there was obviously a lot of things around, like they wanted to paint Trump as a Putin apologist and Putin's friend. And they're still doing that now. They're trying to paint Elon Musk as a Nazi and all of these things. Burning down Tesla, superchargers and cars and factories, despite the fact that they're the same people that bandy on about climate change all the time. So anyway, point being, going back to how this got started, it doesn't, anyway. The UK is on its last legs, and as a result of people seeming to be very, very apathetic or not seeing what's going on, I started to talk about a lot of these things. I started to talk about the dangers of socialism, how many people died in Mao's Cultural Revolution, how many people were systematically killed by socialism all over the world, and how many times you could fill up an empty Wembley Stadium with the bodies of people that have been killed by socialism over the years. If you take the estimate of about 100 million people, which is the commonly accepted estimate with all of the socialist dictators included, it's as far as I know, it's a fairly commonly accepted estimate. Anyway, you could fill up an empty Wembley Stadium over 1,100 times, okay? Just with the dead bodies, right? That's people that have died directly by murder, by governments, in the basement cells of the Lubyanka, for example. People that have died indirectly from starvation, the terrible socialist policies that inevitably lead to things like this. We're seeing that in the UK right now with the war on farmers. So I started to talk about a lot of these things, but obviously I'm a health coach, I'm a personal trainer, I realized that I was using that program to talk about, using that show to talk about a lot of those things. And I made the political PT as part of my brand. It's still part of my brand, but you know, a lot of people don't necessarily want to hear that from a fitness show. Okay, so, or a health, science, nutrition training show. Okay, so I figured, why not? And also, this is going to be another branch of the Voice of the Valleys, which we'll get into in a moment. Why not set up a dedicated show for it? So initially, a lot of the podcast episodes that are going to be filling up the front part of this, the initial episodes I'm going to be putting on, are probably just going to be some of the episodes which I'll take from that other show, the Evidence-Based Excellence podcast, and just bring them straight over. Pardon me. They'll probably just have the same intro sequence that are on all of my other podcasts. Okay, you know, the same music, the same intro sequence, right? Just take the MP4 and bring it straight over and publish it. Okay, but at least then people know that they come into this, they know what they're coming in for. Okay. And then obviously then we've got one podcast or one show, one set of content that's dedicated more to training, nutrition, things that are coming through with regards to advancements in science, all of those things, okay, and pursuing personal excellence, typically physically, okay, whether it's getting leaner, stronger, faster, more muscular, whatever it may be. And then if I want to talk about other things and engage in other ventures, whether it be politics or other more general topics pertinent to just daily life that aren't really related to that, then we can talk about them here, okay? Just general stuff that's going on, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. There's two things that we're going to be going over, mainly one document and one video, which I'll go over in a little bit, but I was inspired to do this with a recent conversation, or from a recent conversation that really gave me the impetus to really start this, by a recent conversation I had with James Harvey. Now, James Harvey is a 21-year-old founder of Students Against Tyranny, and he founded that when he was being persecuted for his political opinions in uni. Those who don't know, James was kicked out of university, and you can hear all this in the recent podcast I've got coming out in 2 days from now at 3 p.m. GMT on the 16th of the 3rd, 2025. Okay, 16th of March, 2025 at 3 p.m. GMT, my interview with James Harvey will be dropping on both the Evidence-Based Excellence and this one if I can get it published and uploaded in time. So he obviously started off as a citizen journalist, and then he was picked up by Vox Populi, and he's worked with Urban Scoop. He's always been a political activist, and now he's a journalist for those publications. I believe the Urban Scoop, he specified in his in our conversation, he just does that. You know, he gives them his day rate, and then he goes and does work for them depending on what they want. Vox Populi, he's a dedicated journalist for them. And he mentioned his citizen journalistic activities and the importance of citizen journalists. You've got other ones, for example, that are really, really important. Other prominent political activists like Paul Golding, Tommy Robinson is obviously one of them. Billboard Chris, Avi Yemeni from Rebel News, Ezra Levant. Obviously, Jordan B. Peterson has his platform, doesn't really do necessarily a lot of the citizen journalism stuff, but Charlie Bentley Astor, the guys at Lotus Eaters, all of these big publications, okay? And obviously we have Voice of Wales in this country. And I realized that in my area, at least in terms of this, we don't really have, or don't seem to have, citizen journalists and stuff like that. So I figured, why not? Why not start one up? And I want to do a lot more of these. I want to actually go and cover some events. But then if I'm going and covering them as a personal trainer who just likes to talk about politics, it's, you know, not necessarily the most ideal in a way, but if I'm there with a citizen journalistic outlet and a brand, then obviously it's going to be a lot better. So that's where the Voice of the Valleys came from. The Valleys is where I'm from. The Valleys is where I was born and bred. So that's where the name came from. Very proud of my heritage. And I don't by any means mean to speak for everybody. Obviously, there's just one man's opinion and one man covering what is going on. Maybe we can scale it to a team later on down the line. I certainly hope so. But it's just, one guy talking about stuff that he feels is important and giving his perspective on it and making people aware of the things that are going on, things that they may not otherwise be aware of. And try to do so in a relatively high production quality kind of way. So that's where the name and the idea for this came from. I wanted to start going out and covering certain events a lot more, political rallies, demonstrations, conferences of political parties, all of these things, and obviously conducting interviews and those kinds of things, which are hopefully going to be coming down the line as well. Some of which are done on my other platform, and obviously some to come on this one as well. So that's basically the idea behind what we're going to be going through. A lot of the content is pretty much just going to be the same. We might have clips to react to and all of these different things, but we're going to be doing them here because we now have dedicated space for them. And then people that just want to listen to the health and fitness content, then obviously they've got that dedicated health and fitness space with the Evidence-Based Excellence podcast. So hope you enjoy, hope you stick around, and hope you find the takes and the content useful, obviously, and also informative and just in all around general helpful, really. So what we're going to be doing now is I'm going to take you guys into the quote unquote studio. Okay, so this is a little template which I've drawn up at the moment to try and make this a little bit more visually appealing. Okay, and we're going to be going over two things. We're going to be going a little bit over the recent drama with regards to Rupert Lowe and reform and my personal thoughts on it at the moment. And then we're going to cap this off with a nice little video about why there is a prominent, and I'm going to cut to the logo right now. I'm actually going to cut to the logo right now because there's a prominent symbol in there, which you can see it's a prominent symbol. There's two in fact, one of which is pertinent to the nation which I am from, and one of which is pertinent to a lot of making the nation what it is. Okay, is the reason why we celebrate St. David's Day and all of these things. Really, without this little symbol and without what it means, none of those holidays really mean anything. It's very, very important. I've said it before. I said it on those other episodes that it's very, very important that we come back to this. It's very, very important that we come back to this and start taking it seriously, and start taking the man seriously. So, anyway, point being, we're going to now skip into the studio. And I am on fire. I'm not actually on fire, but I like the graphics. I want to make this try a little bit visually appealing, and obviously with the dragon in the logo, then obviously why not put some fire around it? So this is a statement that was recently made by Rupert Lowe, or it's a public letter that he released, right? And he addressed it to Nigel Farage. So for those who don't actually know what's going on at the moment, I'll cut back out at the moment, is that Rupert Lowe's recently had he's a very popular MP. He's a very, very popular MP, right? Because he was saying a lot of the things that seemingly a lot of people were either afraid to say or wouldn't say for political motivations. He was showing that he wasn't afraid, okay? And people were really resonating with him. He wasn't afraid to take other MPs on the other side of the aisle to task. And he wasn't afraid to ask questions and demand the best of the party that he was associated with. Okay, now he said that he had various concerns and he tried to raise them privately with regards to Reform's leadership, with regards to the direction it was going in. And recently, it all blew up because I can't remember who he was talking to or where he was talking to, but he made some comments that basically did not paint Nigel Farage in the most positive of lights, because there was concerns that Rupert Lowe had, and he was trying to raise them privately, and they were basically falling on deaf ears. Not long after that, a bunch of what have seemed, at least in the current state of the investigation that we have, seem to be false allegations of misconduct, of threatening behavior, and the really stupid decision that Reform made because he had offended the dear leader. And as you can tell from that language, I'm not particularly positive with regards to my outlook on Reform. I was initially in the run-up to the last general election, but they've since become very, 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 very establishment-like and very disappointing, is that he had the whip taken from him, despite the fact that there was, the investigation, quote-unquote investigation into him hadn't concluded anything. He hadn't been found guilty of anything, of any of the charges that were leveled against him. The story that Reform and the MPs, Tice, Lee Anderson, all of these other people have changed numerous times. And it's increasingly looking more and more like Rupert Lowe really done nothing wrong, and it's just been a character assassination. Nothing less than a character assassination in terms of one of their, possibly their most popular MP. And people are speculating it's because Rupert Lowe was actually saying things that people wanted. He was actually giving people a glimmer of hope. He was actually giving people a glimmer of hope that he offended Nigel Farage, offended his gargantuan ego, and that's why he had to be put in his place and struck down. And since then, there's been a lot of drama because Reform tried their best to sort of sweep everything under the rug. People are not letting them get away with it. They've been tanking in terms of their social media reception recently. Isabel Oakeshott was recently on a interview, I believe it was one of the Talk TV guys. I was basically saying, could we please just let this all go away now? Because they don't like it. They don't like that Rupert is actually saying things that people want them to say, is rocking the boat. He's not afraid to rock the boat, and is showing that Reform are a lot more establishment than we were initially given pretense to believe. And that's why a lot of people's faith in Reform have been shattered, mine included. So that's where we are. And despite numerous attempts to tackle this privately, obviously it came up with Rupert Lowe's comments about I believe he said something to the effect of Farage being a messiah and those kind of things. And Reform have obviously made a lot of questionable decisions lately with regards to the appointment of a Mohammedan chairman, which many people, myself included, are not happy about. Okay, I don't care what you say. It's not going to be a person by the name of Mohammed that's going to save Britain, save the UK from increasing Islamic colonization. I don't care what you say. So with that, we're now going to read this letter from Mr. Lowe. I'm going to put it up on screen and read it so you can see it. And then we're going to maybe talk a little bit more about it. And then I'm going to leave you guys with a little video which we're going to watch together. It's one of my favorite videos and really highlights the importance of, again, why that particular symbol is in my logo. So let's read this letter from Mr. Rupert Lowe. So it was addressed on March 13th, which is yesterday. And it is a letter to Nigel Farage, obviously Nigel Farage, leader of ReformUK and leader of the controlled opposition. As you can see, quite a good reception, 1 million impressions or 1 million views and 25k likes. In fact, it's going to be 25 and one more because I just liked it. So, Nigel, my latest invitation for dinner with you did not receive a response, but I'm going to make one last effort. Our members deserve that. Without them, neither of us would be in Parliament. Their hard work, their efforts, their determination, that's what put us there. Not me, not you, them. And that's absolutely true. It's hard to find anything to really argue with there. And this is where, again, he's speaking to Nigel Farage's gargantuan ego again, where he's getting into this point where he's done everything. And no, it's the electorate that put you there. A lot of people, myself included, I didn't realize this before, but are now very suspicious of Farage. Think about it. He claims to be this massive patriotic figure. Maybe he is. But he's scuppered a lot of the movements in the past that would seek to gain a sort of nationalist grip in the UK and really fight the establishment. See, the BNP is one of them. The Brexit Party was another one, UKIP 1.0. All of them fell apart. Why did Nigel Farage, for example, resign after Brexit in what would have been, in theory, a crowning moment of victory? But he resigned from the head of the UKIP party at that time. And a lot of people, Catherine Blakelock, a lot of other political figures, Joe West is another one, for example. He was, I believe, a Reform councillor that resigned from his post about a month ago. And people are resigning from it left, right and centre. Members are trying to leave because they're seeing the Reform establishment for what it is. And they're forgetting that they're public servants. And it's not Rupert, it's not Nigel, any of them that matter. It's us, the electorate. They're supposed to be there for us. And that's why a lot of people in the UK are very dissatisfied with the system at the moment, because they see the system is not there to serve them. It's the elites, quote unquote elites. It's the political class serving the political class. So anyway, silencing members on the threat of being removed from the party for speaking out about my treatment is not acceptable in a democratic organisation. These people are volunteers who care about their country. They have every right to express their opinion on what has happened to me. I urge you to treat them with the respect they deserve. Now, that's in response to Nigel Farage saying to Reform members that they should not associate with Rupert Lowe. They should not give their takes on the situation. They should basically shut up about it. And that's obviously, people should be allowed. It's a free society, it's supposedly a free society that we live in. They should be allowed to give their takes on whatever. I believe that further seemed to alienate a lot of people with regards to this. The treatment of Rupert has been a massive mask-off moment for reform. I know what is happening behind the scenes, and I know it has shocked you. This will not stop, and it will only worsen. Hard to argue with that. We can all see the truth. You launched this smear assault the day after I raised reasonable concerns about reform policy, communication, and structure. What did you think it would look like? Did you honestly think it would appear reasonable? Your real motive was to remove me because I dared to ask questions, and I know you know that. It's not what the leader of a democratic, patriotic organization does. This is what a dictator does. This is what an egomaniac does. You should be allowed to ask questions. He did the same thing to Ben Habib, and many others are seeing it now as well. You dare ask questions about where it's going, you'll simply be removed. I understand the need for strong leadership and to be headstrong, but you should still be able to subject yourself to criticism. You should still be able to ask questions if you're the person who is concerned, such as Rupert, for example, about the direction of the movement. You should be able to ask questions. You need to be able to ask questions in order to hold yourself to the highest standard. Okay, I called this out, or I mentioned this, and Ben actually liked my post on it, where I highlighted that a lot of people in reforms, I want to say it's like they're almost like involved in a cult, right? They're involved in this cult of Farage, right? What are they called? The Faragists, I've heard someone call them. But if you dare criticize Farage in any way, you're excommunicado, this kinds of things. And they should do it with Ben, and they call Ben a bitter little man and all of these things. I don't think that personally. I obviously don't know any of these people well enough to make a massive judgment on them personally, but based on what I see, I can make the judgment based on what I see, on my limited information, and who knows, maybe I'm wrong. But this is what I saw, is that Ben, it was a back and forth with Lee Anderson. And again, Lee Anderson, very quick to, anger, to talk down to people. So I've seen, he tries to come across as this like community guy, but when he talks a lot about, Ben and stuff like that, he's very quick to, try and put him down and, almost like punch down on the little guy. He calls him a bitter little man and all of these things, right? And I'm not afraid to do it with the supporters that are asking questions either. Again, it makes them look very establishment-like. But Ben pointed out something that was incorrect with something that he saw that Reform had put out on social media. I believe it was to do with their claims of democratization. And he said, no, this is not true, and here's why. And he posted screenshots of reform policy that directly refuted what was said. And people were saying like, trying to call him out, being like, you're just bitter, this and that. And I quoted it, and I screenshotted some of the comments, but I also screenshotted Ben's post. I quoted Ben's post, and I screenshotted some of the others. I said, this is a massive problem, because all Ben is doing, at least to my perspective, is saying there's this problem, and reform voters in particular and the electorate need to take notice of it. And then the response is that you're just this, that, and the other. And I'll see if I can find the post, actually. Let me see if I can, I'll fade back to this a minute. Let me see if I can find the post. Because, oh God, something's gone horribly wrong here. There we go. If I go into X and I go to my posts, I'll see if I can find it. Because I thought it was really good. It was just Ben highlighting things that are wrong with reform that the voters should be asking about and taking note of, because at the end of the day, they should be demanding the best from their party. If they're not demanding the best from the party, then what the hell are they doing, right? How do I search my posts? I don't know how to do it on the web. I could do it on my phone really easily. Oh, damn it! I don't really know how to do it. How do I search my posts? Oh, well, never mind. I'll figure it out. Let's see if I can find it. Let me try this. So, I don't think I can find it. But basically, what was happening, right, guys, is that Ben was highlighting problems with it, and all he was doing was just highlighting problems that the audience, the electorate, should be aware of, and questions that they should be asking, pointing out things that the electorate should be holding them account to. And then obviously the people, the Faragists, they react negatively because they perceive it as, you know, an attack on their dear leader and all the rest of it. And then Ben was basically saying, this is the whole thing. We should be asking these questions and really taking note of this, because we should be demanding the best from reform. That was the point that I was making. You need to ask questions. You need to be able to have this dialogue. You should be stress testing them, and you should be subjecting them to scrutiny, because you should be demanding the best from them, especially in the perilous position that we are in right now. Being able to ask questions and asking questions is absolutely imperative to making sure that we get the best out of any party. You should be doing the same with UKIP. You should be doing the same with Britain First. You should obviously be doing the same with Labour, Conservative, and the other irrelevancies like Plaid and Greens and all stuff like that, right? The other, you know, gender and communists and climate communists and all the rest of it, right? And any party, you should be asking them difficult questions, and they should be able to answer those questions, or at the very least, if they can't answer the question at the time, part of their next point should be being able to go away, find the best solution for it, and coming back to it. Okay, there's no reason why you can't do that. So, for example, if somebody asks a question of a political party leader about XYZ, there's no reason why they can't say, you know what, I hadn't actually thought about that. You know, that's a great question. Thank you for that. That gives me a lot of things to go talk about. The next time I'm on a media appearance or whatever, I'll have a better answer for you. I'll actually have an answer for that question. No reason why you can't do that, okay? But you should be asking difficult questions, and you should be demanding the best of them. That is the point. That's exactly what Rupert was doing here. That's exactly what he's doing. I raised reasonable concerns about reform policy, communication, and structure. What did you think it would look like? And that's why they're getting so much backlash. That's why they're getting so much backlash, because they see it as somebody asking reasonable questions, wanting the best for the party, and they're actually getting persecuted for it. Doesn't fill people full of confidence whatsoever. Anyway, next paragraph. I know that was a massive tangent, but next paragraph. As requested previously, we must resolve this in a manner expected of us both by the party and the country, in private, behind closed doors. Yes, absolutely. It's a travesty that this has become public. It's a blessing in disguise, in a way. But if this was, it's a sign of a weak party. It's a sign of a weak infrastructure, especially a weak leader. That this had to go public and has exploded in this way. It's a sign of very bad management and very bad leadership, which obviously doesn't bode well for a political party that's aiming to be in government. And that's why a lot of people are thinking it's just going to be more of the same, myself included. Just the two of us, to see if a better path can be forged for reform. I have asked this on multiple occasions over the last few months with no success. I am trying one last time. So it'll be interesting to see. I don't think Nigel Farage is going to respond to this. I really don't think he's going to respond to this. It's going to look very, very bad on him. But before that can happen, you must stop your malicious witch hunt. You personally have told outright lies about me on national television. One of the worst. One of the worst I saw was that they tried to insinuate that he had dementia. Okay? He tried to insinuate that he had dementia. These outright disgusting lies that the reform establishment have told. A lot of it potentially due to Rupert being very like a dog with a bone on the grooming rape gangs issue. And obviously, Islamic chairman, not going to bode well for that. And obviously that's a big reason that people are speculating as to why he had the whip removed. I have undeniable evidence to prove this. I urge you to retract and apologize for those remarks, or for these remarks today. Obviously, I don't think Nigel Farage did. This was yesterday. I don't think he did. And that's no surprise. There's no surprise. No surprise whatsoever. Statements issued by the party contain outright lies and are designed to smear my reputation with zero evidence. I will not tolerate falsehoods, and my legal teams are working on it all. The British public do not appreciate foul play. No, we do not. We've had enough of it. We had enough of it under the Tories for 14 years. Okay, the biggest betrayal, in my opinion, that's ever been seen in Britain, or one of the biggest betrayals that's ever been seen in Britain, was the Tory rule of 2010 to 2014. It started with in my opinion, it started potentially even before this, but definitely with the Blair administration throwing the gates open to mass migration and saying that the right or the country had to get its nose shoved in diversity, or whatever the hell he said. But the British public certainly do not appreciate foul play. That's why we're sick and tired of Labour. That's why we're sick and tired of Conservatives, and that's why we're doubly sick and tired of Reform, because we actually felt we had a modicum of hope with these people. Okay, we actually felt we had a modicum of hope with reform, but it turns out that potentially, very likely, they're nothing more than more establishment. Egos must be parked to resolve this. I am trying to do that by reaching out again. In fairness to Rupert, that's absolutely true. Because I always say like a Rupert Lowe simp, and I do respect Rupert Lowe a lot. I think he was the only thing that kept me in hope for reform until recently when this happened. Okay, he's the only thing tying me to any sort of hope for reform. And now that's gone, I have no hope in them whatsoever. But in all fairness, he could very easily, just be going on and trashing and not trying to reach out, just absolute silent treatment like Farage and the rest of the reform establishment are doing. But no, he's actually saying, can we try and fix this, please? Can we try and fix this, please? Can we try and fix this, please? People are saying that you shouldn't be doing it in a public forum and all the rest of it. That is the only way to get the attention of people who have egos this big. All right. There was a guy, it was only a young kid, it was like somebody associated with reform saying like, you should be handling this privately. And Rupert's like, I've tried handling this privately. What the hell do you expect me to do? I can't do any more. I've reached out privately many occasions. They've just fallen on deaf ears. And ultimately, I think the only way you're going to get to somebody like Farage, who has this massive gargantuan ego, is by this, is by hitting him where it hurts sometimes, so to speak, in his reputation. But first, you must stop your wicked assault on my character and reputation. It all must halt. I hope to hear from you. If I don't, I'd like to put on record my thanks for what you did to deliver Brexit. Sadly, that legacy is being sullied by your appalling behaviour over the last week. I once considered you a friend. I no longer do, but there remains a better way to solve this, Rupert. So that's the end of the letter. And that's where it kind of just hit to the heart for me, is that obviously it's a letter, people are going to have positives and negatives about it. People are going to have different perspectives about it. But it's a line like that really makes me feel sorry for Rupert in a way, is that he's betrayed by his friends. Nobody likes that. Nobody likes that at all. And, you kind of expect underhanded things from your enemies. You expect your enemies to bring out every little dirty trick in the book and all of these things. You expect your enemies to try and do anything they can to hurt you and all of these things, right? You kind of expect that, but you don't expect it from your friends. And that's why betrayal from your friends hurts so much. Betrayal, in my opinion, hurts like nothing else, right? It hurts like nothing else. And that's why, when Rupert says something like that, it just shows how hurt he is. And that's like somebody that actually cares about his country, cared about the venture that he was involved in, wanted it to do the best as possible. And the minute he asked the question, they all turned on him and stabbed him in the back. And somebody said something really important on X the other day, and he's saying all of Farage's rivals or all of Farage's associates that end up falling foul or whatever have knife wounds in their back. That's where the wounds are. They're in their back. And that's why I do feel sorry for Rupert, regardless of how I don't know him personally, obviously, but he was the one thing, like I said, he was the one thing giving me that little glimmer of hope, that little glimmer of confidence in reform that it might not be more of the same. And now that's shattered. That's absolutely shattered. The illusions that I was under with regards to Farage, having learned a lot more and had a different perspective on his political history. Rupert, said... where did he say it? He said it here. I once considered... I'd like to put on record my thanks for what you did to deliver Brexit. Well, what happened with the Brexit Party after Farage, The reason why I think we can see quite clearly that Enoch Powell and other figures within the British nationalist movement didn't give Farage the go-ahead, the blessing, those kinds of things, right? Didn't endorse him. Maybe they could see something that the rest of us couldn't, and who knows? Or rather, Enoch Powell, a great one, for example. A lot of the things that he said have very much so come true. The rivers of blood and all stuff like that. So, yep, we're in trouble. But that's... We're going to see what this happens. I stand with Rupert Lowe. Make no apologies, or I make no, two claims about that until I get more information that tells me why I shouldn't. Okay, I stand with Rupert Lowe. Reform, massively establishment vibes, very much so doesn't fill me full of confidence whatsoever. And finally, the reason why The reason why that symbol, that particular symbol, let me flash back to it again. The reason why that particular symbol that you see right there, just above the dragon's head, is there. And something we should take very, very seriously. I've forgotten this cardinal's name. He is a cardinal of some kind. I'm going to see if I can find his name. Because I really want to find him. I think it might have been him. I think it might have been this guy. I know he's dead now. I know he's dead. Is it this guy? No, it's not him. Oh, why can't I remember his name? Is that him? I will find it now, guys. No, that's not him. Damn it. Don't think it's this guy. Nope, it's not him. Let me see, because he's an American cardinal. And if you might already know what thing I'm going to... what clip I'm going to show. Where is he? I think this was him. I think I found him. I wouldn't have managed to guess this name, but I think I found him. Oh, wait, it might not be a cardinal, actually. Yeah, here he is. Here he is. I've got him. So his name, I do apologize. I don't believe he was a cardinal. I believe he was a bishop, right? By the name of Fulton John Sheen, or Peter John Sheen is his birth name. He was an American bishop of the Catholic Church, right? And he doesn't mince his words about very, very important things. I really, really respect this. If we had religious figures like this growing up, right, maybe we would have taken it a lot more seriously, because this guy's badass. This guy's awesome. And I'm going to show you a little video of him now going into this. And yeah, he's talking about the dangers of communism and what we really need to fight communism. And again, keep that in mind, because seeing that symbol there, right there as you can see it, will all make sense. I promise you.
Communists are right in saying this world needs a revolution, but not their cheap kind, which merely transfers booty and loot out of one man's pocket into another. We need the kind of a revolution in the United States and in the rest of the world that will purge out of a man's heart pride and covetousness and lust and anger and envy and gluttony and sloth. In other words, the true battle against communism begins within the heart of every single American. Means the recovery of our own great tradition, of our belief in God, of an affirmation in politics and in economic life, and among our politicians, of the things that are right and true before God. Then we need not fear communism, for if God is with us, then who can be against us?
Boom. We need not fear communism, because if God is with us, then who can be against us? And make no mistake, guys, that symbol there is not just a symbol. That symbol there is not just a symbol. And we really need to start taking it a lot more seriously. We really need to start taking it a lot more seriously. But that'll do it for today. So don't go being a wokey communist now. Okay. And yeah, hope you found this little introductory episode nice and useful. There's going to be a lot more things, a lot more interesting things coming out with regards to this. Very much so looking forward to hopefully some of the ventures that we're going to be able to embark on. People will get to speak to, projects we'll get to undertake, and ultimately things we'll get to talk about and content we'll be able to make from it. So thank you very much for watching or listening, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. And yeah, this has been the first episode or first installment in Voice of the Valleys. And yeah, first of many, hopefully. But yeah, thank you very much, guys. I will see you again very soon. Godspeed.